This is an open letter to Peace Corps. Bravo, Peace Corps. Bravo. Here's the thing. I don't think. I think whoever shot President Kennedy, our President Kennedy was assassinated. Whoever did it, one thing is for sure. I think the main reason he was eliminated was the whole idea behind Peace Corps. Peace Corps and the ideals it proclaims. It's, if you're of a cowboy mindset, and what's ours is ours and what's theirs is ours as well, cowboy, robber, whatever it takes. That's how the West was won, right? Whatever it takes. So the idea is that he has to follow a specific line of thought to reach to the idea of Peace Corps. That line of thought was not in line with arms manufacturers, mega empire kind of a mindset. The idea of Peace Corps and the idea of military industrial complex are just 180 degrees apart, and they won. The military industrial complex won, and Kennedy lost, and his brother also following the same line of thought. You see, line of thought means the family, when they sit together, they talk about shit. And well, if you're a wealthy family of well-known origin, you don't really talk about cops and robbers. You give yourself a farther view, and a more stable and more far-sighted view. And this is what this family came together had, because they conversed and they were all educated, and they conversed when they had their large family together in their compounds and blah blah blah. So a lot of good ideas come from this, as opposed to three brothers down in Texas, neither one of which can stand each other. They choose to live in different states, and they're all competing with each other all the time, and one is drunk, and the other one does this, and all kinds of vices is involved. So that is what the military industrial complex likes. Somebody who's actually Wild Billy. So that's what the military industrial complex enjoys, because that brings the most profit. They don't enjoy having a educated person from the northwest, northeast, or even northwest. They prefer to have the military industrial complex prefers to have a cowboy in charge from the Midwest. You see what I'm saying? Because when you grow up in a large city, you become kind of a jack of all trades, and even if you don't read much, you learn so much in the city with the cramped environment that will get you out of tough situations. Will help you get out of tough situations. That's previous history, without having any blood spilled. But if you're from cowboy land, you only see one solution. We got to go attack him before attack us, because we are the next villages, and we have some interest over there, and we have to go take care of them. Doc Holliday goes and takes care of such and such in Timbuktu. I'm sorry, Yuma. Tucson, Tombstone. So my point is this, that they really don't want anybody educated. They really educated, not in terms of, Hillary Clinton got her education in the bureaucratic system. She enjoyed bureaucracy, and bureaucracy enjoys her. She goes with the, but I mean, has no really original thought as of where we're going with all this bloodshed. We are going where interest lies. Women in that sense are horrible in leadership, because women's interest never ends. Women have this insatiable interest in wealth, because it goes back to the insecurity business. Women feel insecure all the time because of the weaker sex and blah blah. Women feel insecure all the time. You see what I'm saying? So they no amount of money in the world can give them enough security. They still feel insecure, and that's where we go towards, to the whole idea of makeup. You gotta feel insecure that you think you have to paint your face to matter. You gotta be a good artist to matter. Salute. You gotta be a good painter to matter, or you hire professional painters to paint your face so you matter. Because apparently, painted face matters. Oh God. So my point is this, that speaking of actors, women acting, putting up the makeup and start acting as beautiful as they can, then you come to, this whole idea of presidents who are good actors. That's another, cowboy is a good option for military-industrial complex. Actor is even a better option for military-industrial complex. Even the bureaucrat, which I was saying, Hillary Clinton and Mrs. Harris are basically bureaucrats. Yes, they have had elected office, but like one office before they run for presidency, or two offices before they run for presidency, and those offices were pretty much, the only black candidates put forward, or one of the main black candidates that the Democratic Party puts forward. So she's basically in the bag. For those who vote in California, Democrat, colored Democrat presented by the party is basically a slam dunk. So, and Mrs. Clinton in New York City, in a very rich, I don't know, was it Manhattan, in a rich district of New York City, where that's another slam dunk. So my point is this, that they also made a good candidate for the military-industrial complex, because they're bureaucrats and they're read in, they're with the system. Well, the system is going straight off the cliff into a nuclear war. We are with the system straight for salute. The system moves forward, even if the system sees the cliff. It's sort of like the stampede of the buffalo. A few in the front see the cliff, but at the speed they're going, apparently, at that point there is no going back. This is the way the politics of Homo sapien on planet Earth has ended up. Again, at the same junction in which there basically, to put it simply, there are too many fat cats at the top, and they don't want to budge. Let me repeat it again. There are too many fat cats at the top, and neither wants to budge. The fat cats on the east, and the fat cats on the west, and the fat cats on the south, and the fat cat. So all these fat cats think okay, at least what's mine is mine. I don't want none of yours, but what's mine is mine. But then, when you understand of learn about the NATO expansion, you realize that, oh, these fat cats didn't have enough. That's the whole idea of NATO expansion. That's basically colonialism going backward in Europe. Imagine it that the same people who colonized North America now they have turned around, and with the same mindset of getting total control, are going back to the old world in Europe. And the whole idea of the Europeans willing to go along to have their they just took 10 years to rebuild Notre Dame. Are the fucking French, this cocksucker in charge in France, is he ready to go have to build the whole of Paris again? Are you mad? I mean, they took 10 years to rebuild Notre Dame. Are you planning on having to rebuild Paris again? Or that guy in the fucking British island? They just finished paying Uncle Sam's manager off for World War II. They just finished paying off. Apparently up to 2006. They were still paying their debt for the, Second World War to Uncle Sam's managers. As soon as you pay off your debt, you want to go back to debt with a new war. What's wrong? What is wrong is that too many fat cats at the top, and they don't want to budge. Each side is just is thinking that if I can get a better deal maker, we get to win. Doesn't seem that way. This is all about it. It's not that they want to live, and they want to keep what's theirs. That would be the case with the Russians, with the Chinese, with the Indians, with the Brazilians, with the South Africans, with the Nigerians. They want to keep what's theirs. As the guy from, was it Mali? The guy said, I think it was from Mali, who just declared themselves independent for the second time. These folks now have two Independence Days. You kick the British, the French out of the door, they come back through the window. Now this country has recently declared their independence from France for a second time, and the guy basically says that we have all the gold mines, but we have no gold reserve, but France has all the gold reserve. We have all the gold mines, but somehow in this trade, France has got all the gold. We mine it, and somehow, through magic, this fucking gold ends in Paris, and we get some food aid. Sort of like we cannot have technology, we cannot have anything, because anything we want to do, the northern hemisphere, the people of Europe and North America, they don't see it fit for us to own that technology, so they don't share that technology with us. So we always have to be dependent on their technology. That's basically how this new form of colonialism has been going on for after the old form of colonialism ended. The new form of colonialism was, technology colonialism. We will not allow you to have this technology. You can use it, but by law you can't have it. That the whole non-nuclear proliferation is sort of like, we have it, but by law, if you want to eat, if you don't want us to embargo you, by law you cannot have that technology. What do you mean? That means we have the penis and you all have to, you know, be the cunts. We are the only ones who can have the penis. Who are we? 4 out of 5 official nuclear powers are from Northern Hemisphere. You know, France, England, US, Russia. These are the 4 white ones. And then one is China. There's a one minority in this on this table of acceptable nuclear powers. Okay, what the rest have to do? Well, we jump in and we bring them freedom once in a while, and they can't do shit about it because we have the nukes and they don't. Okay. Salute. I'm sorry, Mr. Trump. Wouldn't you like to promote Peace Corps? Wouldn't you like to have a villa, or just like you have a villa in south of Florida? Don't you want to have a villa in Egypt? Don't you want to have a villa in Somalia? I mean, peace has its own dividends. You can, live all over the world, enjoy the whole planet. Peace has its dividends, but this peace dividend is not it's not a dividend. This dividend doesn't go to the pockets of the military security complex. This dividend doesn't go into their pocket. This dividend goes to the people mostly. The dividend of having a non-stressful, non-inflammatory life. Inflation in terms of money inflation and wealth inflation, and when you can't afford basically anything, sit down and shut up because you can't afford anything. So this all can be avoided if you imagine yourself as a citizen of the planet. Wouldn't you like to have a villa in Nigeria? Why not? I mean, it's diversity. I'm not saying that you should marry a Nigerian, Mr. Trump. I'm saying diversity in terms of when you see diversity, your mind is a little busier. When you see things that you haven't seen before or environments that you haven't come across, your mind gets a little busier and more enjoyable. You have a more enjoyable time when you see different. You don't see the same every day for 70 years. You also have a villa in Nigeria. You also have an apartment in Pakistan. But the point is, and you get up in the morning and you're in the middle of Pakistan, but because CIA hasn't made a mess out of it, Pakistan is also, it's a little backward, but a little dirty, but it's peaceful, and you can also enjoy a peaceful walk around in Karachi in Pakistan without worrying about anything, because the whole planet is fucking peaceful. Because, Peace Corps has become important. The idea is enjoying your life on this planet. The idea is not owning as much shit as you can. The idea is enjoyment. And this diversity that I'm saying is what brings enjoyment. Why you seclude yourself to the diversity of, we only want diversity of pussy and diversity of food. We don't want to see anything diverse. We don't want to actually go and touch anything diverse. Have you noticed the Chinese have a whole week, 2 weeks, or a month, a week of national holiday that everybody has to travel. They have made it, or it has been for God knows how long, part of their culture that in this week in the year you have to travel. And at least they force their own people. It's expected for you to travel. Not for a meal back home, but to explore new, not return to the past back home. when there is no such thing in the West. The British is not a, they don't have a week of let's go, just go there without trying to enslave them. Go look and come back. Don't touch. That's the point. They don't have it. So you guys don't have it. You don't have a travel week that everybody, or a travel month that everybody's supposed to travel. Mr. Trump, if the point of this life is not enjoyment, then why are we here? And enjoyment doesn't come from fields of dead because two fat cats at the top couldn't come to an agreement where to draw the line. They each, dare each other. From what we have seen, it's mostly the West has dared Russia to use nuclear weapons. Multiple times. Dared Russia to use nuclear weapons. Is life difficult on this planet? I mean, you used to live in caves. Now you're living in shelters. You used to, have to dig for your food, daily food. Now you can sit behind a desk and eat your fucking daily food. Is this not enough? The fat cats on the top, they rather see the planet dead than red or blue or green or, let's have a fucking Peace Corps. Why do you want to own everything? With the help of the military. We need to own everything. Everything has to be in our control with the help of our military. God willing. Salute. Well, they're saying the same thing in their own fucking language on the other side. But remember, they're sitting in their home. You're the one who are going to their home to kick their ass in their home. I'm not sure. I don't want to say who's right or wrong, but remember, it's called self-defense because that means you in your home, and if your home is attacked, then you defend yourself in your home. Self-defense doesn't say, no, I have the right to defend myself after coming to your home. Israelis have been lobbing bombs for years straight over in West Asia, and they call it self-defense. Self-defense is defending the border. That's called self-defense. But shooting over the border, that's called offense. Defense, from this border back, I defend myself. But if you don't have a border, if you send missiles into Syria, if you send missiles to Turkey, if you send missiles to, Lebanon, if you send missiles into Gaza, if you send missiles to... So you don't have any borders. You can send missiles to Nigeria, shoot missiles into Nigeria, and call it self-defense. Because apparently there is no borders. Here's a couple of missiles we're going to send to South Africa, and we call it self-defense. Then the whole idea of defense is a ridiculous idea because there is no defense. What are you defending? If you shoot into my territory, that's not a defense. No, if there is a wall, that's why there is a border. If I step over that border, then if you shoot me, that's called self-defense. But if I'm on my side of the border and you're on your side of the border, you shooting me, that's not called defense, that's called expansion. Because apparently you want me dead so you can move yourself over and draw the line farther down into what used to be my land, but because now that I'm dead, is no longer has an owner. No, I'm sorry. It's just a. It's just a. It's just a bad solution to a very simple problem. The solution is John F. Kennedy did it. It was Peace Corps. The solution is wanting to have villas in different parts of the planet to see in person, to see the you know the traditions of the locals in their home. They don't have to bring your tradition to your door. You go to them and see their tradition in their original habitat. If you can imagine it for yourself, Mr. Trump, can you imagine it for your grandchildren? Wouldn't you like your grandchildren to have peacefully, not by taking over Nigeria, just by being a resident of Nigeria, have a villa in Nigeria, have a villa in Madagascar, have a villa in India, have a villa in China? Wouldn't you want your grandchildren to have that? Have a villa in China that they visit during those special times of the years that they have traditional celebrations. That's the way you have to think about it. And to think that way, military-industrial complex has to close shop. It's going to be Peace Corps, and military-industrial comes to our border. Outside of our borders, we don't have military personnel. You see, this is the thing, Mr. Trump. Countries, normal countries, they don't have any military personnel outside of their borders. You see, let me repeat that again. Normal countries, it is expected that every country is expected to have their military personnel only within their own borders. That's when it actually can you refer to this as self-defense. I mean, this is something I'm sure international community can come to this exact understanding that everybody's military personnel can only stay within their own borders. Period. You can't send your military personnel to fight somebody else's war. Period. No military personnel. The rule that the Germans had up to recently, that German military cannot go outside of Germany. You brought the whole of Germany into NATO, and you open the German soldiers, you force the Germans to accept to send soldiers overseas. I think it started in the Iraq War. That's a recipe for disaster. In fact, everybody should follow the German old tradition after World War II of putting it into law that our soldiers cannot put a fucking step outside of our fucking country. Every country on earth should sign this. Borders are where they are right now. Our soldiers cannot go 1 inch outside of our country. End of story. All wars stops right away. All the American military troops go back to the United States from Korea, from Taiwan, from Japan, all go back to the United States. Everybody stays within their borders, period. All countries. Now, that's the only thing that should be enforceable by a strong United Nations military, that if anybody's military encroaches upon the border, and we have cameras, there is technology that can be used, that it would be clear who is encroaching. There are satellites that can be clear who's encroaching at the moment. Then the United Nations force actually goes and fights them and holds the line for or whatever. And then it's Peace Corps. And then promotion of Peace Corps. I think the reason Kennedy was shot was the whole idea of Peace Corps. The whole ideas that went along with the idea of Peace Corps. It doesn't make money for, the military industrial complex. But you know what makes money? A big Cold War with Russia, with Soviet Union. A huge, expensive Cold War, a war without end with Russia, with Soviet Union. That makes a lot of money for a lot of military intelligence people. And they're the only one apparently enjoying their life on this planet. Here's the thing, folks. President Trump, please. Peace Corps is the best idea. I think the military should be restricted to within your own borders. If you do that, your military budget is going to be cut in half. If you do that, you should be cut into 1/10, but it will cut in 1/2. But having a central command in Asia, and having a southern command, and having an eastern command and a western command, and are there so many pirates in the world that you need everywhere all these commands? Oh, they're fucking one kind of pirates. There's only one, a little piracy in the Straits of Malacca apparently, and a little piracy around east of Africa. And that's because you have been bombing them out of by bombing them you have been preventing them from having any kind of order. Whenever they try to get their act together and put some kind of order together, you bomb the shit out of them and destroyed their order, or you funded a crazy group here and a crazy group there, and created again, all of this is making money for somebody. And it's the total opposite of the idea that you should have on this planet, which says try to build the whole planet instead of just building yourself and trying to destroy others. I mean, having a, but this idea of the kind of greed that says, no, we should have control over all of it, that's what it gets you in trouble. That's when you say, even if we are in their backyard and kicking their ass in their backyard, we are still defending ourselves. No, it's really location dependent. Defense is very location dependent. If you own it, there is some paperwork, you can prove it, then defending it makes some kind of sense. However, if you don't own it, there is no historical evidence of your people ever being there. With genetic studies, you can't just drop in and kick my ass and tell me this is for self-defense. I'm kicking your ass in your home and I call it self-defense. Sure, why not? No, sir. No, Bravo Peace Corps. The idea was good. Came from a good place. It was a great idea. It is a great idea, but for some time now, since the military-industrial complex has scared the shit out of everybody, and they have built towards an international war, because apparently regional war is not filling the coffers, or is not filling their coffers enough, so they need a big international war to make more money. I'm not sure, or have become the owners of Europe once again. It's simple. My soldiers are within my borders. I will keep them there. After 9/11, the answer was a very, if there wasn't a cowboy in charge, the answer to 9/11 would have been, okay, we're going to increase our security in our airspace and at the border, at our border entries. To prevent 9/11, we're going to another 9/11, if that was what it was, and it wasn't. If it wasn't self-harm or friendly, if it wasn't friendly fire, whatever it was, the answer should have been, we're going to increase our security. The answer is not that I'm going to go to their house and kick their ass and call it self-defense. If they don't, if you don't go after them over there, they will come here. No, you increase your security. You make sure you have nice, strong doors, and they can't come there. At least the crazy ones can't. So you're secure, and you go about how to fix the problem intelligently. But if you put a cowboy in charge, it's not going to be dealt with intelligently. Does anybody has any kind of qualms about that? If you don't put the intelligent guy in charge, you're not going to get an intelligent answer, intelligent solution. Are you kidding me? Bravo Peace Corps. Mr. Trump, it's you guys who are wanting more. You guys are expanding NATO. You guys are, so in love with yourself that you say that our form of government is so good that everybody should adapt it. That's arrogance talking. Our cultural norms are so good that everybody should adopt it. That's arrogant talking. Arrogance talking. Our form of economy is so good, everybody should adapt it. Or else we're going to start the military-industrial complex and go after them. This is arrogance speaking. What you have, if it's good for you, good for you. Others may want to choose to do different, and within their borders, they should have the right to do so. And if they're peaceful enough, maybe you want to buy a villa there. Period. A villa in Russia, a villa in China, a villa in Nigeria, a villa in South Africa, a villa a tree house in the rainforest of Brazil. Wouldn't want your grandchildren to have that. That is only possible if you guys decide that, yeah, no, we will purchase, we will do trade with each other. We don't want to own each other. We don't want to own each other's resources for free. And yes, the Africans have the right to live a good life with the gold that is in their land. That's not, that was their gold wasn't promised to us as Europeans. They have to the right to benefit from their resources and their hard work. Can can anybody explain this to BlackRock or State Street or Vanguard or JP Morgan Chase or Bank of America and Wells Fargo? Can somebody try to explain this to these bigwig? Explain it to Warren Buffett. And hey, we don't have the right to own everybody. There are international borders, and that means that we can't own them. Slavery hasn't gone away, it's just has become macro. It was micro, now has become macro. We own nations now. We don't own individual people, we own nations. But it's by force. You don't need to own them. You can have good relations with them, you can trade with them, and you can have a villa there without actually owning the whole country. Just being in friendly terms with them, everybody. The problem is guys like the BlackRock wants to own the resource in order to increase their profits. There is no more. They can't push their growth numbers higher unless they have access to more resources and more markets. Therefore, suddenly Russia becomes bad, and the Arabs should be treated like shit to keep that area unstable. So we can have our military on the ground to do what? To take over the resources, because it's our oil under their ground. That's what can be considered as fat cats wanting it all. The oil wells in the United States is not enough for us. Some of our companies want to have some oil fields in Iraq and some beach resorts in Israel, and some beach resorts in Crimea, and some farmland in Ukraine, and some minerals in Ukraine. So some of our companies want these things over there, so we're going to go fight for it. And even though we are in their land fighting them, we will call it self-defense. The Anglo-Saxons are giving the Ukrainians missiles to lob into Russia, and they are all calling it self-defense. The NATO expanded, and they consider this as self-defense. You expanded NATO and you consider self-defense? What are you defending against? And with no shame in the world, they put missiles in Poland and said this is to protect against Iran. This was when Iran didn't have any missiles, or had very rudimentary missile technology. They said put missiles in Poland against Russia in reality, but they said these are to protect against Iran. It's sort of like Iran has a beef with Poland. Here's the thing, folks. All we have seen during the past couple of 100 years, it has been missiles going from northern hemisphere to southern hemisphere, to western hemisphere, to eastern hemisphere. We haven't seen much, missiles going from Vietnam into North America or Europe. But we've seen a lot of missiles going to Vietnam. You see where I'm going with this? You keep saying they're going to, we are we're going over there to check their ass because we don't want them to come here somehow, and then when we kick their ass, a whole bunch of them eventually immigrate here. So this is the whole idea of the Arabs. You have sent the Ashkenazi in to kick their ass because you don't like them, but somehow you end up with a large number of the refugees in your doorstep, in your house, because they ran away from there. Salute.